What's up, everybody? I had some time today to work on Frank. I know you guys want me to work on those rear fenders. I'm sure it's keeping you up at night what I'm going to do to him. Unfortunately, that's going to take a few more hours than I had today. So today I'm working on the front fenders. Let me show you what I've been doing. As you can see, there is no turn signal and we got a big hole here. And the reason for that is this should, or it did, go there, and it wrapped around the front of the grill that was on here. And then the light went in this little hole. But as you guys know, I don't have a 73 grill on this, I have an 85 grill on this, so these things don't work anymore. And these lights that go in here are very hard to come by, and I sold them to a buddy of mine who needed some for his Wagoneer. So we are changing it, and let me show you what I did. I already finished the passenger side. What I did is I just cut a patch, welded this in, and I used a marker from a 80s Wagoneer, and then I also patched this little hole here, and I put a quarter in that hole. So as you guys can see, this hole here, that's where the mounting for that light bracket secured to the fender. So I had an idea of, when I saw those holes, I thought, oh, I will put some quarters in, and I'll put one 1973 quarter, because that's Frank's birthday, and one 1982 quarter, because that's my birthday year. So this side has an epoxied which one is this? 73. That's a 73 quarter, and the other side will get an 82 quarter. So I'm gonna go ahead and get to work on doing this on that side. I'm gonna set up a time lapse and you guys can watch. Before I start the time lapse, I will show you guys that I made this template. So I just stuck a piece of cardboard in there, drew it out, and then now I will just take it over here on this piece of metal, trace it out, cut it, take it back over here, weld it in, cut a hole here, You'll see, but it will just be really fast. All right, this side is done. Marker light in, filled that hole. Put the 82 quarter in there. So every single light is now functioning on Frank. Those were the last ones I had to do. And now it's done. I'm gonna go ahead and call it quits for today. Hopefully soon I'll get like 2 days where I can work on Frank, or like a day and a half, and I can get on those rear fenders. All right, folks, I don't know if I'm gonna start on trying to get these rear fenders done today, but I'm gonna at least try to attempt to explain to you guys what my plan is. So bear with me, here we go. Front fender is good, right? All set, no issues. Rear fenders, as we know, we got a lot of rust here. We got rust here. The other side's even worse. Just all this rust here. So something's got to happen. This one's real mangled right here. So I could just cut it out and leave it, but I got a plan, and here's what my plan is. So if you look down, it's kind of hard to tell here, on this body line, this fender sits lower than the front fender. So for example, here it's about 7 inches to the start of this fender flare here, where it flares out. If I take that body line, which is this one here, and come back here and measure down, this flare starts way lower. It would be about, what's that, 9 3/4. So you could see I've already marked that 7-inch line, because that's what my plan is, to bring this flare up. Now let me explain a little, or let me try to point it out a little bit better on this picture here. So you could see here that rear fender, the bottom of that rear fender sits lower than the bottom flare of the front. I don't know if I'm explaining it well, but basically this section here is higher than this section here, and where this finishes here is lower than here. So if you were to draw a line straight down here, you would see that they don't line up. That's how all Wagoneers are. My plan is to make them even. What I want to do is take the front fender and essentially cut this arch out, okay? Then come here, cut all this out, and weld that front fender arch in. So here's one that I already cut it out, right? This was an old, very rusty, as you could see, fender I had laying around, where I just cut this section out. All right, so the plan here would be to get this fender started on this black line I showed you. And essentially to take this fender, the front piece of this front fender that I'm going to cut out, and line it up on this line here. And that way, this would match the front. The fenders themselves would actually match, because the flare would be the same. We'll get a better section of wheel well here. These front lines should match up to the door. Conceptually, it sounds great. I think it could work. In actuality, will it work? Only time will tell. So I'm going to start cutting some stuff, making some marks, and cutting some more stuff, and then I'll update you as I go along. All right, so here's my vision. I got this cut out and just tacked on here. So it's just gonna, I'm thinking about just cutting it so it just clears the door here. And then I'll have to cut it somewhere along here to clear the door again. And then here, obviously this flare is short. I think what I'm gonna do is take another fender and probably cut it. So cut this one maybe somewhere here and then finish the rest like that. Does that make sense? That's the vision. So I'm gonna keep working and I'll update you in a bit. All right, I got the first side tacked up. I don't know how I feel about it. The tire's not quite centered in the wheel well, which is not the worst problem. But now that it's on, I'm just not, I don't know that I love it. I thought I was gonna like it more than I currently do. But I'm just gonna keep going with it anyways. So obviously I gotta weld it all up. I have to make a patch for this section here, and then to cut out all this wheel well and reattach it somehow. Let's see how it looks down the line here. I feel like the plane, you can tell, is better. Maybe it's just me. Yeah, it looks like this and this follow about the same line. So I'm just gonna keep working on it, and we'll do the other side, and we'll just keep bringing you along. Okay, I got an update. I've got the flare all welded in. I made this patch panel here, got it welded in. So now I'm gonna take some glazing putty and just run it around where I welded. I use this stuff here, and then sand it all up, and then put a coat of primer on it. And then I have a coat of paint that is this green here that I just picked up at Ace, and I'll put a coat of that on. I mean, you can see it doesn't match great, but it's good enough for Frank. We're not winning any paint job awards here with Frank, but hopefully this is gonna look pretty cool. Once I get the putty and the sanding and the primer and the paint on, I think I'm gonna pull it outside and then we'll take a look at it. All right, got first coat of putty on, sanded, primered. It's not bad. I mean, I could leave it, but I'm gonna go ahead and put another coat on. Try and make this a little cleaner here, and just sand these areas a little bit better, and then I'll get it painted. Random note, I grabbed this stuff because they were out of the Bondo brand, and I've only used the Bondo brand in the past. This stuff sets up quick, which I guess is good if you're trying to work quick, but the workability is tough. All right, y'all, what do we think? Got it all, got a second coat on here, got a coat of paint on. I think it looks pretty good. Let's see, can you see it there? This is the only Wagoneer I know of in the world that has a rear fender that matches the front fender. I think it looks pretty cool. I'm gonna go ahead and start working on this side. This side has got more work because this, clearly you can see, is all jacked up. So I'm probably gonna have to cut this out of a parts Wagoneer I got, and as well as fix this. I want to try to get it all done today. But I think it took me about 10 hours to do the passenger side. You know, they say the second time you do things, and it's true, it usually does go quicker. But I'm not sure the second side is going to go quicker. Either way, I'm going to get started on it right now. Step one of getting started on this driver fender. Got to cut this area of this front fender out. So if you recall, I'm cutting the front fender, the flare portion of this front fender out, then cutting this out and welding it in so that it matches this flare here. So we'll cut like this, and then around, and then cut it off right across there. Then I'll take it up here. We'll measure down to from this line down to here. So that line carries to here. We'll measure down. We'll make a mark to match the height there. And then we'll cut this out. And then we'll mock the flare, this flare that I'm going to cut out here. Okay, I got a mark here. It's about where my height should be, and a mark here to match where the flare comes on the passenger side. The issue I'm having now is this door is very beat up, so it's hard to match these lines like I did on the other side. Hold on, I'll show you. So see this line, this matches up here, and with this one beat up, it's kind of hard to match it. So I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna swap out this door real quick. Alright, I'm starting to remember why the other side took me so long. So I got this door on. I've got these lines matched up. So this will have to be cut here. And then this mark. So this is about where this fender is gonna fit or sit. While I knew, now I'm remembering. I cut. This fender obviously doesn't go all the way down, so I used 2 flares from front fenders. So I pulled tape from the door to where my seam was on the other side, mark that. So now I gotta go over here and cut this flare out. And then I think what I did is I cut it about here and used this piece from about here to here to piece it. So I'm gonna cut this out, cut this whole flare from about here all the way to here out, and then I'll set it up there and see if I can match the other side. Okay, I cut this flare out, and if I line it up, this white mark right where that black mark is there. So I need to cut those two and weld that together. And then it will come out right about there where my mark is to match the other side. Okay, I got the 2 flares tacked together. Got it clamped in place. This is about where it's gonna sit. So I will go ahead and outline this around, and then I'll cut probably about a 1/4 inch below that line, and then start fitting this flare in. Basically, I've been working on this for 3 hours, and I haven't really gotten anywhere. Alright, y'all. After about 2 more hours since the last update, I got this fender flare tacked up. And I'm just gonna have to patch a little tiny piece there. Otherwise, I think I can just massage it and make it all work. So, done for the night. Maybe tomorrow or the next day I'll come back, get it all welded up, and then start bondoing and all that other good stuff. Alright, we got this driver's side done. What do we think? Frank, to my knowledge, is the only Wagoneer in the world that has matching front and rear fenders. Came out pretty even compared with the other side. Measurements are pretty dang close. You'd have to have a real good eye to tell the difference. I still have to figure out what to do with this inner fender here. I think I'm gonna have to cut it and then plate this back in somehow. Still working out that in my mind. And then how to attach this inner fender here. So if you want to leave me comments on the best way to do that, that'd be good. I got this bottom piece on here, tied that together, so probably just plate this here somehow, maybe cut some old inner fender. Like I said, still working on that. Got one coat of paint on here on both sides. Probably do a little bit more Bondo work. We got some dents here still, but what are we gonna do? So I think next video start working on bumpers, front and rear bumpers, and then maybe we'll go pivot to the inside of buttoning up some door panels and stuff. What do you guys think I should do? Should I just leave the mismatched doors? This door's got a dent here I could probably push out, or I could just swap the front door from this on here, so this side would have two matching mismatched doors, and this side's pretty straight, so no need to really mess with that. So yeah, let me know what you guys think I should do about the doors. Should I paint them? Should I leave them mismatched? Let me know what you think. One quick note before I say goodbye. I mentioned I was using this U-Pol brand glazing putty. It's okay, but for that second driver's side, I went and got the Bondo brand glazing putty. It's a way better product and easier to work with. So that's it for now. Gonna end this video here. We will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proud